Dear friends, I will start off by saying a huge thank you, Mr. Sullivan, really, who came to see me a couple of months ago and introduced the project. And of course, I couldn't possibly say no. So thank you, it's an honor. So as you know, just not even a month ago, we celebrated the 80th anniversary of the Battle of Monte Cassino in the presence of the Italian president and the Polish president, and probably close to about 5,000 people. It was an amazing event. And my father, because that's really my claim to fame here, my father was General Władysław Anders, who was the commander-in-chief of the Polish forces at Monte Cassino. My father died in 1970. He is buried at the cemetery. My mother passed away in 2010. Her ashes are buried in my father's grave at Monte Cassino. When people hear about the Polish Second Corps, they may know what they did during the war and so on, but does anybody really know where they came from? Because I think this is extremely important. My father is known as the hero of the Battle of Monte Cassino, but not everybody knows that he saved about 120,000 people from the gulags during World War II. Because there was 40 years, really, of communist rule in Poland after the war, meant that not much was said about the deportations of Polish people to Russia, to the gulags. And my father, who was saved from the perils of Katyn, was asked to, he spent the war in the Lubyanka, at that point, the Lubyanka prison in Warsaw, and when amnesty came, he was let out and was able to form an army out of all those people who were in concentration camps, work camps, and so on. And that was the beginning of the Second Polish Corps. Second Polish Corps then aligned with the Brits, and then went through Persia, the Middle East, and ended up in Italy. The thing that makes the figure of my father special is that when he was asked to form the army in Russia, he said, I'm not only going to take soldiers, I'm going to take everybody. I'm going to take families, women, children. And to this day, I have people who come up to me and say, thank you for being here. Thank you for being your father's daughter, because I wouldn't be alive if not for your father. The Poles at Monte Cassino fought for what they say, your freedom and ours. And if you go to the cemetery, that's exactly what is written on the pillar there. At Monte Cassino, they really felt they were fighting for a free Poland. Liberation of Rome for Poland was not only the liberation of Rome, it was hopefully a liberation of Poland that was at that time invaded from all sides. Unfortunately, it did not work out that way. It took Poland another 40 years to become free after the Battle of Monte Cassino. My father passed away, as I said, in 1970 in London. He dreamt of a free Poland, which he never saw. After he passed away, my mother, after about 20 years when Poland was already free, started to go there. And eventually I did, which was amazing because I grew up in the UK. And I married an American. I spent 20 years living in the United States. And by sort of, you could say, a fluke, being my father's daughter, I ended up in the Polish Senate. And then I've been here for almost 5 years as Poland's ambassador to Italy. So I'm almost at the end of my, I would say, diplomatic route for now. But I am certainly not at the end of my role as my father's daughter, and keeping to the topic of the Second Polish Corps, the Second World War, and the liberation of us all. And as the mayor of Nettuno said before, perhaps we should learn a lesson from the past when we look at the future. Sadly, that lesson for now, I think, is missing. So on that rather positive note, I hope, thank you so much for coming. Thank you for the honor of speaking to you, and we'll keep in touch at our next conference. Thank you.